Most people explain themselves too much. They explain their decisions. They explain their silence. They explain their choices. They explain who they are and why they are that way. And without realizing it, every explanation gives away power. Miyamoto Musashi lived differently. He did not rush to be understood. He did not justify his path. He did not soften his silence to make others comfortable. In a world that demands explanations, Musashi chose presence. The more modern people feel misunderstood, the louder they speak. But Musashi understood something ancient and dangerous. The moment you feel the need to explain yourself, you have already stepped out of your center. Explanation is rarely about clarity. It is about fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of being misread. Musashi did not fear misunderstanding because his identity did not depend on agreement. In Bushido, a warrior's honor does not come from approval. It comes from alignment. Alignment between thought, action, and being. When those are aligned, words become unnecessary. Musashi allowed others to think what they wished. He did not chase reputation. He did not defend his image, because to defend an image has to admit it can be damaged. Silence, when rooted in certainty, is not weakness. It is containment. It is the quiet confidence of someone who does not need to be explained, because they are already whole. And this raises a difficult question for us. If Musashi refused to explain himself, what did he know about inner sovereignty that we have forgotten? Chapter 1. The Bushido Disdain for Validation. To understand why Musashi refused to explain himself, we must first understand what Bushido rejected. Bushido did not teach warriors to seek validation. It taught them to stand complete without it. In the warrior code, honor was not something granted by others. It was something cultivated internally, through discipline, restraint, and alignment. Validation, by contrast, is unstable. It depends on moods, opinions, and changing circumstances. A samurai who depends on validation places his inner state in someone else's hands, and that is unacceptable. One of the quiet principles behind this mindset is Arugamama. Arugamama means accepting reality exactly as it is, without resistance, without complaint, and without explanation. Not passive acceptance, not weakness, but clear-eyed acknowledgement of what exists. When reality is accepted fully, there is no urge to justify oneself against it. Musashi lived in Arugamama. If people misunderstood him, that was part of reality. If they doubted him, that too was reality. And instead of fighting perception, he focused on alignment. Bushido saw the need for validation as a symptom of inner division. When a person is unsure of their path, they speak more. They defend more. They explain more. But when conviction is settled internally, words fall away naturally. A warrior did not explain why he trained. He trained. He did not justify his silence. He remained silent. To explain oneself is to invite negotiation, and Bushido did not negotiate identity. Musashi understood this deeply. By refusing validation, he preserved something rare: inner sovereignty, the ability to remain unmoved, whether praised or condemned. This is why his presence felt heavy, why his silence felt final, because it was not empty, it was anchored. And anchored men do not ask permission to exist as they are. Chapter 2. Silence as strategy, not arrogance. To many people, silence looks like arrogance. When someone refuses to explain themselves, the assumption is often pride, or ego, or coldness. But Musashi's silence came from none of these. It came from discipline. Musashi understood that words are not neutral. Every explanation shifts the balance of power. The moment you explain yourself, you invite others to evaluate you, to judge, to approve, to disagree. And in doing so, you move your center outward. Musashi refused that movement. He did not speak from anxiety. He did not speak to be liked. He did not speak to correct perception. He spoke only when speech was necessary, and silence when it was not. This discipline was rooted in hara. In Japanese tradition, hara refers to the lower abdomen, the physical and energetic center of the human being. To live from hara is to live grounded, calm, unrushed, unreactive. When a person acts from hara, they do not hurry to explain themselves. Explanation comes from the upper mind, from tension, insecurity, and fear of losing control. But hara does not fear misunderstanding. Musashi trained his body and mind to return to this center. So when challenged, he did not rise defensively. He stayed low, stable, rooted. His silence was not avoidance. It was containment. He allowed others to project their assumptions without correcting them, because correcting perception was not his concern. Presence was. Musashi knew that those who demand explanation often seek leverage, not understanding. And by refusing to explain, he denied them access. Silence became a boundary, a line that said, "I am not here to be negotiated." This is why his presence felt intimidating, not because he spoke loudly, but because he did not need to. Chapter 3. Explanation weakens presence. Most people believe explanation creates clarity. In reality, it often creates exposure. The need to explain is rarely intellectual. It is emotional. It comes from discomfort, the discomfort of being seen incorrectly. But presence does not require correction. Presence dissolves doubt by simply being. When you explain yourself, your attention shifts outward. You stop inhabiting your actions and begin managing perception. This is where presence collapses. In Zen practice, this shift is carefully observed. Through mindfulness, one learns to notice the impulse to justify without obeying it. This is why Zazen, seated meditation, is central to warrior training. Zazen is not about calming the mind. It is about remaining still while the mind demands movement. During Zazen, thoughts rise. Explain, correct, defend, and yet the practitioner does nothing. This trains the nervous system to remain grounded under pressure. Musashi internalized this discipline. When misunderstood, his instinct was not reaction, but stillness. Because he knew something modern people forget. The more you explain, the more you fracture your presence. You split yourself into the one acting and the one justifying the action. This division weakens authority. Zen teaches non-division. Action and being must remain unified. Once you begin narrating yourself, you step out of alignment. Silence preserves unity. It keeps action whole. Musashi's refusal to explain was not indifference. It was mastery over impulse, a mastery that allowed him to remain fully present, even when challenged, and presence when complete needs no explanation at all. Chapter 4. The refusal to be understood. Most people want to be understood. They explain their intentions. They clarify their motives. They correct assumptions, because being misunderstood feels like a threat. But Musashi did not seek understanding. He accepted misunderstanding as part of the path. To him, being misunderstood was not a failure of communication. It was a test of inner stability. He understood that the need to be understood often hides a deeper need, the need to control how others see us. Musashi refused this control. He did not manage perception. He did not sculpt an image. He did not perform for approval. Instead, he lived in Shizen. Shizen means naturalness, acting without force, without performance, without self-conscious display. A person living in Shizen does not ask, "Do they understand me?" They ask, "Am I aligned with my nature?" Explanation disrupts naturalness. The moment you explain yourself, you become aware of the audience. You begin adjusting. But Musashi stayed untouched by the audience. He allowed others to form their own conclusions. even false ones, because false conclusions cannot harm a grounded man. Misunderstanding only hurts. When identity depends on recognition, Musashi's identity did not. This is why he could walk alone, train alone, and fight alone. He did not fear isolation, because solitude strengthened clarity. He understood a harsh truth. When you stop explaining, many people will walk away, and that is not loss. That is filtration. Those who demand explanation often demand control. By refusing to be understood, Musashi preserved something rare, freedom from expectation. And from that freedom, true mastery emerged. Chapter 5. Kanso and Daisuzoku, Simplicity over Defense. A warrior's strength is not measured by how much he can say, but by how much he can leave unsaid. Musashi lived by simplicity, not as a style, but as a discipline. In Zen, this principle is called Kanso. Kanso means simplicity, the deliberate removal of the unnecessary. Not minimalism for beauty, but simplicity for clarity. Every extra word, every unnecessary explanation, adds weight to the mind. Musashi removed that weight. He understood that explaining oneself is often an attempt to protect the ego. But ego protection complicates life. Simplicity dissolves it. A simple action needs no defense. A simple life needs no narrative. Musashi kept his movements simple, his habits simple, his words minimal. And through this, his presence became sharp. Another Zen principle Musashi embodied was Daisuzoku. Daisuzoku means freedom from routine, freedom from unconscious habit. For most people, explaining themselves is not a choice. It is a reflex, a conditioned response to discomfort. But Musashi broke reflex. Just as he avoided predictable sword patterns, he avoided predictable speech. He did not explain out of habit. He did not react automatically. Every response, including silence, was chosen. This is where mastery lives, not in doing more, but in doing less, deliberately. Kanso stripped away excess. Daisuzoku broke unconscious behavior. Together they freed Musashi from the need to defend himself, because defense assumes vulnerability. And Musashi did not live from vulnerability. He lived from alignment. In simplicity, there is nothing to protect. Chapter 6. Applying this in modern life. In modern life, the need to explain is everywhere. At work, people justify their decisions before anyone questions them. In relationships, people explain their feelings to avoid discomfort. Online, people explain themselves constantly, clarifying, defending, correcting. And yet, the more explanation there is, the less presence remains. Musashi's discipline offers a different approach. He would ask a simple question: is this explanation necessary? Or is it driven by fear? In most modern situations, explanation is not requested. It is volunteered, out of anxiety, out of insecurity, out of the desire to be seen correctly. But clarity does not come from over-communication. It comes from consistent action. When actions are aligned, words become secondary. At work, this means doing the task cleanly, letting results speak, resisting the urge to narrate your efforts. In relationships, it means listening more, reacting less, allowing space instead of filling silence. Silence, used correctly, creates gravity. It signals self-respect, not avoidance, not emotional withdrawal, but grounded presence. Musashi did not explain to convince. He acted to clarify. Modern life rewards those who can remain centered under pressure, those who do not rush to defend themselves, those who understand that not every misunderstanding needs correction. Sometimes, the strongest response is to remain steady and let time do the explaining. This is how inner sovereignty moves from philosophy into daily life. Chapter 7. Inner Sovereignty. At the end of this path, one truth remains. The need to explain is the need to be accepted. And Musashi did not live for acceptance. He lived for sovereignty. Inner sovereignty is the ability to remain whole, whether praised or misunderstood, to stand steady, whether welcomed or rejected. Musashi understood that explanations are often a bargain, a trade. I will explain myself if you will accept me. He refused that trade, not because he was cold, not because he was distant, but because his center was already settled. He had nothing to prove. When you stop explaining yourself, something uncomfortable happens. People may misunderstand you. Some may leave. Some may judge. But something else happens too. You return to yourself. Your energy stops leaking outward. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words, fewer but sharper. This is not about silence as avoidance. It is about silence as self-respect, about choosing alignment over approval. Remember, Musashi did not explain himself because his life was not a performance. It was a path, and paths do not need justification. They only need to be walked. So the question is not whether others understand you. The question is, are you aligned enough to let misunderstanding exist without defending yourself? When that answer becomes yes, explanation becomes unnecessary. Hand presence becomes enough. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to improve yourself more.